explained, we're here this evening to explain the Cranleigh Rd planning application and the appeal that's recently been lodged. Okay, the planning application was received, as you will remember, it was March 2015. The applicant was Persimmon Highlands South Coast Limited, and the application site related to the land just here. The planning application was an outline application establishing up to 120 homes to be built on the site with public open space and a junction from Cranleigh Road. This is the planning application site, edged in red on the screen in front of you. You've got Quintrell Avenue to the north, Wicker School and Brinchley Gardens to the east on the right-hand side, and at the bottom you've got Cranleigh Road, where it bends around and goes on to Wicker Rec. On the right-hand side you'll see an illustrative site plan. The application was outline only, which means seeking to establish residential development of up to 120 houses on the site, and the only other thing to be considered was a new T-junction access here onto Cranleigh Road. This site does have quite a bit of history. There have been a number of planning applications since 1981 trying to seek to establish permission to build houses on the site. All of the applications have been refused by the council, and all appeals have been unsuccessful to date. The last appeal was December 2004, and the current application was refused this year on the 24th of March at the planning committee meeting. The reason for refusal: the site, as you will see here, is green. It sits outside the urban settlement boundary. The urban settlement boundary is quite clear. It runs around the built-up part here. So all the washed out brown is the urban area, and the darker green here is the school, Wicker School playing field. Also, it was the harm caused by developing this land that forms part of a wider area of open space, open undeveloped land, further west and further south. Following on from that, the land predominantly is Grade 1 and Grade 2 agricultural land. It's predominantly Grade 1 with a small element in the southwestern corner, Grade 2. So no plans to address the increased use of the locally protected coastline by the new residents that would use the facility, local facility. There were no plans in place for a travel plan, which would enable ways to try to reduce the number of trips that the new residents make. No plans to ensure that open spaces and facilities will be provided on site. No plans to ensure that the protected species identified on the site, badgers, reptiles, birds, would be protected during and after construction. And no plans for the ongoing management of the drainage strategy that would be constructed. So, after the council refused the planning application, the applicant has a right of appeal, and Persimmon Homes lodged their appeal some weeks ago. Appeals are considered by the Planning Inspectorate, who are a government agency. So it's out of the council's hands. It's the Planning Inspectorate who will now make the decision. The Planning Inspectorate has decided to deal with the appeal through what's called a public local inquiry. This will be familiar to some people because the previous appeals were dealt with in the same way. A public local inquiry is the most formal of the appeal procedures. The council will defend their decision to refuse the application by providing expert witnesses, and also there will be witnesses on behalf of the appellant, Persimmon Homes. All these expert witnesses will be cross-examined. The inquiry will probably last 3 to 4 days. And along with holding the inquiry, the inspector will also visit the application site. A public inquiry is quite formal. It's not a court of law, but it is held and run in a similar way. But it is a public meeting. It is public, held in public, and anybody can attend. You don't have a legal right to speak, however, the inspector will normally allow local residents to speak at the inquiry if you ask to do so. The council have written to everybody who have written to us, whether it was by email, electronic comments or by letters. We have written to everybody telling them about the appeal, that Persimmon Homes have lodged their appeal. We will also write to you once the date and the venue has been chosen. It's not likely to be until spring next year. Once we know the date and the venue, 2 weeks before the inquiry, notices will be posted close to the application site, on the council's website, other media, Facebook and Twitter, and in the local newspaper. A lot of people have been saying, what can we do now? Well, all your comments that we've already received from you, hundreds and hundreds of comments in whatever form that they've been, have all been sent to the Planning Inspectorate, so they have all your comments. If you did not write, or you feel that there's something else you want to say, then you can do so. But it has to go to the Planning Inspectorate, because as I said previously, they're making the decision now. So you have to send those comments to the Planning Inspectorate before the 29th of October. What can you say? If you've already said everything that you think you can say, then, as I've said, they have your comments and you don't need to repeat what you've said previously. However, you may feel that you want to explain that you've got other reasons that haven't been set out by the council. Or you may want to write to support the application. It is a public, the public inquiry is public, you're able to go, and you are able to speak, as I mentioned previously. You need to do so, you need to be there when the inquiry opens at 10 o'clock on the first day. The inspector will ask at the beginning who would like to speak, and you will make a note, and you will be advised when you will be speaking. It's much better for one person to speak on behalf of a number of residents. It's better for one person to speak rather than lots of people all repeating and saying the same thing. You could even divide up into topics. So there might be half a dozen topics, so you could have a spokesperson talking on each of those topics. It's not good practice for, as I say, 50 people to turn up and all say exactly the same. Once the inquiry's been closed, the decision will be published some weeks after the inquiry. The council will let you know. As soon as we have that decision, we will write to everybody and let them know the decision. This slide is very useful for you. If you've got a pen and paper this evening, you may like to take this down. This is the contact details for the planning inspectorate. So you have their full address if you want to write. I understand these details are on the back of your agenda. Basically that's the procedure for the appeal. So I'm happy to take any questions you may have, and I do have colleagues here as well to help me out if we need to. Thank you.